Let's go Broncos! What if I told you the Denver Broncos are building something so powerful, so calculated, that it could completely change the balance of the NFL in the coming months? No, that's not an exaggeration. I'm talking about a team that came out of chaos to become a title contender, and now has the money, the coaching staff, and the players for a serious Super Bowl run. There are details emerging now that most fans haven't noticed yet, but I have, and I'll share them with you in a moment. But first, if you're a true Broncos fan who's followed the highs and lows, click the like button right now. Let's get this video to as many die-hard fans as possible. And tell me in the comments, are you ready for a long playoff journey? If so, comment, let's go Broncos! We're ready for the Super Bowl. Okay, are you prepared? Because what I'm about to explain will change how you see this entire season. Now let's get into it. The Denver Broncos have done something that not many teams in the NFL have been able to pull off. They've locked in the entire starting offensive line through at least the end of next season. Yes, every single piece of that front five will be back, and that level of continuity is a massive deal in the NFL, where chemistry, timing, and trust can mean the difference between a 3 RD and 8 sack and a 40-yard bomb downfield. This offensive line, already regarded as top 3 in the league, might be climbing toward number 1, and that's without Ben Powers, who's still working his way back from a bicep injury. The recent contract extension for Luke Wattenberg might have raised some eyebrows. Some fans were quick to ask if the Broncos overpaid. But let's set the record straight. Sometimes overpaying doesn't mean a mistake. It means you're protecting the foundation. Wattenberg was a 5th-round pick in 2022. Fast forward to now, and he's the 6th highest paid center in the NFL. But here's what makes it worth it. 0 sacks allowed this season, over 700 snaps played, a solid 68.4 run blocking grade, and a 65.5 pass blocking grade. That's elite production, especially when you consider the stability it brings to Bo Nix's development. This isn't just about Wattenberg. It's about the whole unit thriving together, knowing Sean Payton's system, and protecting the most important asset on the field, the quarterback. George Payton knew exactly what he was doing. Lock down a cohesive unit, keep your young quarterback upright, and build your team from the inside out. That's championship thinking. And let's not forget, this line has already faced adversity, like Wattenberg's rough game against the Bengals where he racked up 5 penalties. But that was a blip in an otherwise stellar campaign. The Broncos aren't just patching holes anymore, they're building a fortress. And that fortress isn't just on offense. Let's talk defense. The numbers are staggering. Through the first 11 games of the 2025 season, Denver leads the NFL in sack differential by a mile, plus 36. That's not a typo. It's the highest in the league and way ahead of the 2015 Super Bowl defense at the same point in their season. Again, no one's saying this current defense is exactly that one. That 2015 crew was legendary. But this pass rush? It's right there with the best. Nick Bonito and Jonathan Cooper are the fastest edge rushers off the line in the entire NFL this year. Add in the depth from Jonah Ellis, DeAndre Tillman, and Q Robinson, all of whom contribute heavily on special teams, and you've got one of the deepest edge rooms in football. This isn't just a pass rush, it's an avalanche. Now let's take it further. Situationally, this defense is elite. They're ranked number 1 in the NFL on 3rd down, holding opponents to just a 28.9% conversion rate. They're also tops in red zone defense at 35.7%. And here's the real eye-opener. Denver sacks quarterbacks on 11.2% of dropbacks. That's not only number 1 this year, it's the highest ever recorded. Ever. That stat alone speaks volumes about the pressure they're generating. This is the kind of defense that doesn't just win games, it demoralizes offenses. And just when you thought that was enough, we have to talk cap space. For 2026, the Broncos are sitting pretty with the 10th most cap space in the league, just under $50 million. That flexibility, now finally free of the Russell Wilson contract albatross, opens the door to adding true impact players in free agency. Sean Payton and George Payton are no longer handcuffed. They can aggressively build around their core through free agency, not just the draft. Potential targets? Think of names like David Njoku at tight end, or even George Pickens if he somehow slips through the cracks. Running back Breece Hall could be an option, especially if the team doesn't re-sign J.K. Dobbins, though there's strong support to keep him in Denver. One particularly intriguing name is DJ Reader, the Space Eater, a 6 feet 3 inches, 335-pound veteran who could be the perfect replacement for John Franklin Myers if an extension doesn't materialize. Reader doesn't light up the stat sheet, but he clogs lanes, pressures QBs, and thrives in systems like Vance Joseph's. And speaking of trust, it's not just George Payton who deserves the credit here. Sean Payton's fingerprints are all over this rebuild, and it's clear he's not just playing for playoff appearances. He's crafting a team that can go deep, adapt, and punch back in the toughest moments. Payton's strategy is visible in every layer of this team, from personnel to play calling. He's not just coaching, he's constructing a legacy in Denver. The emphasis on player fit over star power is one of the defining traits of this new Broncos era. Take the edge rushers again, Benito, Cooper, and even the rotational depth. These aren't flashy first-round picks with massive contracts. They're players brought in for what they do best, create havoc. That balance of speed, explosiveness, and football IQ has turned the Broncos into the most disruptive defense in the league. And it's not just about sacks. The Broncos are forcing bad throws, rushed decisions, and creating turnovers, which in turn shortens the field for Bo Nix and this offense. And speaking of Nix, how about the development curve we're seeing from this rookie quarterback? Behind this elite offensive line, he's growing more confident by the week. That's not by accident. You give a young quarterback a wall in front of him, time to throw, and the trust that he won't be on the ground every other snap. That's how you build a franchise signal caller. The Broncos aren't putting him in a sink or swim scenario like we've seen so often with young QBs. Instead, they're surrounding him with veterans who know the system and giving him a clean pocket to operate. All of this ties back to the theme of continuity, something the Broncos have lacked for years. From coaching turnover to inconsistent quarterback play to a revolving door on the O-line, it felt like Denver was always pressing the reset button. Not anymore. The pieces are in place, and they're being retained, paid, and elevated. That's how you build not just a playoff team, but a perennial contender. Now let's zoom out to the bigger picture, the AFC. It's no longer just about keeping pace with the Kansas City Chiefs. It's about surpassing them. And this season, for the first time in what feels like a decade, the Broncos are built to do it. That Week 11 matchup with Kansas City wasn't just a game, it was a statement, a warning shot to the rest of the league that Denver isn't just in the hunt, they're hunting. The Broncos walked away from that matchup not just with a win, but with confirmation that they belong among the elite. As we look ahead to the offseason, the possibilities are endless. With nearly $50 million in projected cap space in 2026, Denver has the financial power to add difference makers. Whether it's a tight end who can stretch the field, a defensive lineman to plug gaps, or depth pieces that solidify rotations, the Broncos are in a position of strength. For years, it felt like this team was always a few pieces away. Now, it's about refining, not rebuilding, enhancing, not overhauling. And make no mistake, the rest of the league is starting to take notice. This team isn't sneaking up on anybody anymore. The sack numbers, the third down efficiency, the red zone defense, they all paint the picture of a well-coached, well-prepared, and dangerous football team. And in January, when the stakes are highest, that's exactly the kind of identity you want. Tough in the trenches, relentless on defense, balanced on offense. This is championship DNA. So, Broncos country, this is your moment. You've been through the rebuilds, the heartbreaks, the endless quarterback questions, the what-ifs. But now it's about belief. Believing that this roster, this coaching staff, and this identity can take Denver all the way. It's not just hope anymore, it's evidence. The numbers back it up. The tape backs it up. And every week that passes, this team looks more and more like a problem for the rest of the NFL. If you're not excited, you're not paying attention. Hit that like button if you haven't already and smash that subscribe if you want to stay locked in with all the breaking Broncos content. There's another video coming up right here on the screen. Dive into it to stay up to date with everything happening in Broncos country. Thanks for watching, and as always, go Broncos!